Assalamu alaikum guys, and welcome to another episode of Smile to Jannah. The very religion that Andrew Tate has embraced and the people of that religion that embraced him, he has thrown them and the religion under the bus, all to please the right wing. Here he is wanting a pat on the head from Tommy Robinson, and here he is getting a pat on the head from Lawrence Fox. But why are these people who say the vilest things against Islam happy with him? And to be fair, he's been Muslim for quite a while now. Have you ever seen him pray? Have you ever seen him attempt to read the Quran in the Arabic language? Have you ever seen an Islamic book in that house of his that is always topless, chain smoking, and in his underpants? What we're going to be talking about more specifically are his tweets, because these reveal his ideology and his intentions. And before we delve into it, the context of these tweets is the ongoing grooming gangs issue in the United Kingdom. Let's look at the first tweet. Muslims have committed the actions. Yes. So you can see, it's not a very good start, is it? Holding the Muslims collectively. He's using the term Muslims. Yeah, holding the Muslims, 1.8 billion on the planet, collectively responsible for the actions of a few doofuses. Well, according to the CSA Center, only 2% were Pakistani, but 88% were white. Why has he not mentioned the white? Will he be holding the whites collectively responsible? Will he be bashing the Western civilization and the culture and the ideologies from which they emanate? I didn't think so. If we then look at the Home Office report as well, it said that the majority of the groomers were white. Then this figure of 82% are Asian. Well, even if you look at that came from the Quilliam Foundation, and experts like Dr. Ella Cobain and Waqas Tufail looked at it, and you know what they said? The report gave no source of data, no source of funding, and nor was it peer-reviewed. And not to mention that it only took a minuscule sample of 264 offenders over 12 years. Then he goes, Muslims defending the actions. Which ones? Yeah, which Muslims? Because the headlines and our community leaders and our teaching say the complete opposite. Maybe you haven't seen it because you're too busy kowtowing to the far right. Then he goes, Muslim population in Europe is the most extreme. Now this comment was so unhinged that even the chain smoker Mr. Masculinity himself had to delete it. Then he chimed in on Shamima Begum. Well, seeing as you're very passionate about the grooming gangs issue, you should know Shamima Begum was also groomed to join ISIS. And what's worse is her crossing the border was facilitated by Canadian Secret Service, which was subsequently covered up by the UK Secret Service. So you had the higher ups facilitating kids to go, and then when they actually go, oh, you guys are extremists. Then he goes, integration, and assimilation. These two words are interesting. We have no issue with integration, which means a unified society where each group maintains its unique identity. That's integration. Assimilation, which we heard Piers Morgan say to Mehdi Hassan as well, and Mehdi Hassan didn't really push back on it, which he should have. Assimilation is adopt the dominant culture at the expense of your own identity. What? And then we move on to the tweet that got everybody talking. In fact, that's the one I responded to and was subsequently blocked by Mr. Masculinity himself. And in there he referred to as an Islamic crime problem. Islamic. Well, firstly, I'd like you to give me evidence that the perpetrators were indeed inspired or motivated by their religion, or that Islam in fact permits such actions. Because you said Islamic, right? So the victims were clearly plowed with drugs and alcohol. We know both drugs and alcohol are forbidden in Islam. We know premarital relations in Islam are not only forbidden but have severe punishment, as does child abuse. So what's Islamic about the whole thing? And why are you pushing this forward? You know why? Because Andrew Tate has now become a follower rather than the leader. Rather than escaping from the Matrix, he's that bold guy with the goatee that sells out Morpheus and the crew in the Matrix because he likes it in the Matrix and wants to go back. And we've seen this because he's only picking specific sexual abuse as his right-wing idols are doing, and he's collectively blaming Muslims and then slowly shifting the blame on the religion itself. But then he says, I'm looking out for you, mate. Remember what I did? Remember what I did after October 7th? I went on Piers Morgan.
I also stood up to Piers Morgan on October 8th, the day after, and against all legal advice, made it clear that what was happening was a genocide.
We know what you did. The guy actually didn't stand up for the Palestinians and said, hey, we just don't know what's going on. And even you don't know what's going on as well.
I'm smart enough to look at this situation and understand what's really happening, which is that I don't know, and none of the people with strong opinions truly know.
And then when he saw the backlash, that's when he then changed stance, and now he's trying to use that as yes. And not forgetting the use of the PAKI racist slurs that he uses, and where he wrongly said that the attacker was a migrant, and then incited the right wing in such a way that eventually we got the UK riots. I just want to show you that this is what happens when you politicize these things. Well, the New Zealand attacker that you heard, the T, of course, because he murdered 51 people in a mosque in New Zealand. On his ammunition, he wrote for Rotherham. That's one of the places affiliated with this whole grooming gangs issue. Number 2, an innocent 81-year-old man in Rotherham called Mohsin Ahmed. In Rotherham, same place. He was kicked to death by 2 white people that called him the P word and a groomer. He was, of course, innocent, had nothing to do with it, but they saw a brown guy, elderly, and they murdered him. Number 3, you probably heard of the Finsbury Park attacker who killed 1 person outside the mosque. Darren Osborne, he also mentioned the grooming gangs thing as well. And Andrew Leake, the firebomber at Dover Centre. He also referred to it as well after firebombing it and then taking his own life. And in case Andrew Tate thinks that he is now the savior of the Ummah because of that God complex that you see from his other tweets, in which he's saying, yes, bow down in front of your Lord. Yes, I am the Lord. And saying all that nonsense. So if you think that you are the savior of the Ummah, why aren't you giving solutions from the Prophet of Islam? In his circles, he may deem, you know what, Muslims don't have a good voice. You know what, let me go in with them. And there's better ways of doing that, mate. The first thing that you got to adopt is trust and tawakkul in Allah. It means you do things within the boundaries of the Sharia, because that's what Islam is. Thinking that, you know what, I have to do the greater good by going outside of Islam is against the teachings and the spirit of Islam itself. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.